Hi YouTube, here's your boy 100. Well, I guess you know what that means. Brakes are worn down. Time to install some new pads. So let's get right into it, and I'll show you which ones we selected. Alright guys, so we're going to do the rear brakes today. I'm actually going to do the rears and the front, but the fronts will be in a separate video. The rear brakes have an electronic parking brake that can be released manually and with a scan tool. A very awesome scan tool I have for that, and I'll probably do a separate video reviewing that scan tool after I've used it for a while. I just got it yesterday. But for now, let's get the rear of this car jacked up, get those brakes all cleaned up, sprayed off, and do the rear brake job. All right, we got it jacked up, got the wheel off. Now all I have to do is clean up this messy, dusty brake area, release the brake, and change these pads. All right, wow, this was unexpected. In wiping down the little caliper and trying to get it cleaned up for the video better, I ran my finger across the disc here and there's grooves. If you run it across here, you can feel small grooves. So that means I gotta take these discs off and have those turned down smooth, because you don't wanna put new pads on a grooved disc, because that's the rest of people wearing your pads out twice as long. And one of the reasons I bought this particular brand of pad, which we'll get into later, is because they were supposed to last 5 times longer than normal pads. So I probably won't finish this video today. You won't realize it, but these got to come off and be turned. But we can still get into how to disengage these rear safety brakes, emergency brakes, parking brakes, whatever you want to call them, because there are 2 ways of doing it. One is manual, and one is electronically with a scan tool. So I'll show you how to do that now, and then we'll have to take these off and have them turned. Yep, this one's grooved up pretty bad. Let's check the other side, see if it's grooved as well. Oh yeah, that's bad. Looks like my little wife has been driving faster and stopping harder than she is let on to. She's been having fun in her car. Okay, so to manually release the parking brake is a 2-step procedure. One, you have to manually release the piston and back the piston off itself, and then after you release the piston for the emergency brake, you have to go in the front side and actually depress the actual piston that presses up against the brake pad. So to do that, there's a couple of fasteners. So there's a 13mm bolt here. All right, so if you go on the back side, that 5mm hex is right there. And there's 2 of those, and then there's 2 of the 13mm. And there's an electrical connector for the actual turning on and turning off of that brake. That is right here. I'm going to take this wear sensor cable loose because I'm going to be replacing this anyway with a new one. So I'm just going to snap that loose. I'm going to take this 5mm hex loose first. See if I can get in here. All right, here's the electrical connector that controls the brake, and I think you have to lift up. So you have to lift up like that. Get inside there and lift up, and then push that off of there. So I'm going to push this in there, push the screwdriver in there like that, and then I'm going to try and work that off. Okay, so I got the electrical connector loose, and so now I should just be able to wiggle. You have to wiggle it a bit to pull the brake off. Let's see if I can get this thing to focus where I want it. Yeah, there you go. And you just have to keep wiggling it. And I don't think I can do this again. I don't think I can do it with one hand. Maybe I can. Oh my God, I'm stronger than I thought I was. Then this comes off, and I'll show you what to do next. Let's see here, little guy. Here we go. All right, so this is the back of the caliper where the emergency brake actuator mounts. That hole where the splines go takes a T45 Torx, and you want to turn that clockwise until it stops. But don't tighten it. Just turn it clockwise, like so, until it stops. Just a few turns. And this will back it off. This is step one. And once this is done, we can go around the other side and depress the piston the traditional way to make room for the new pads. You want to do this by hand. Don't use the electric powered cordless ratchet. Do this by hand. Here we go. Let's stop, and we're done. Now we go to the other side and depress the piston. Now I'm going to take off the two 13mm bolts here, one on top, one on bottom, and then that will give me better access to take all the other connectors and bolts loose. Nice and easy. No knuckle busting. And you'll need a thin 17mm to hold while you take the 13mm nut or bolt out. Alright, I've got a bungee cord here to a screw hole to hold it because it's still connected to the hydraulic line. And we should be able to work this off the back of the brake pads. Back half of the caliper. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Look at that. The brake wear sensor is in the way. Just pop that out. See which way need a small screwdriver. Need to pop that out. Then we can bring this up and I'll show you how to back that off. Let's go ahead and get this brake wear sensor out of the way because we're going to be replacing this with a new one. See if I can. And you're getting the whole pad, which is fine. And these are ready, right where they should be, about a 1/4 of an inch left. So these are done. Yep, these are definitely done. How thick it is. How much I had left. So these are ready to go. And but there's probably nothing wrong with this. I'll retain it, but we're going to replace it with a new one. Alright, so now to depress the piston, now that we backed off the brake, it's just the same way. Some people use a C-clamp, some people use a large screwdriver. I use this tool because I do this kind of stuff a lot. So I get the tools. They make it easiest for me. But I'm going to put this in here like so, in the caliper frame. And then I'm just going to turn this and squeeze. Let me see if I can turn it so you can squeeze that in to make room for the new pads. And we have to back off that emergency brake first to make room for this to go back. So as you can see, if I turn it, it's squeezing it back, making room for the new pads. And then we can just put the new pads in like normal, and off we go. But in this particular case, we're going to continue, and we're going to take off the frame because I need to take off the disc to have them turn. And there we go. Now we have room for the new pads. All right, so to get the caliper, the frame portion of the caliper off, you're going to have to take loose these two E16 Torx bolts. One here. I don't know if you can see it really well because I'm having a hard time with the lighting and everything. But there's another one down here. Okay, one there, one there. E16, big boys. All right, so that's what I'll be taking loose next. Next, on the front side, to take the frame off. Alright, so I'm back on the front side. I'm going to go after those two E16s. And let me tell you, they are tight. Not sure what the torque spec is on those, so you might want to look that up before you start. And make sure you have an E16 socket, torque socket, before you start. These two E16s are pretty tight. This is what I have to do to get them loose. Alright, let's remove those two E16s. And here's one, big boys, and remove the frame. Here's two. I'll go get that frame out. So, there we go. And there's the frame. So we won't be needing this. We'll probably replace this hardware, or at least clean this hardware up. Hardware looks fine, actually. Probably just clean this up, along with a lot of other things. But now we have to take off the disc. Alright, so now we're going to take off the disc, and the disc is held on by two 6mm hex bolts. And to get those off, I use my Koken manual impact tool. You guys may have seen this on my channel before, but this will save you from damaging these little bolts, and it takes them off like nothing. So all you do is rotate in the direction you want to take it out. They work both ways, on or off. But I usually just use this for taking things off. So you rotate it this way, and then you tap it, and inside there is a rotary cam. There's a cam surface that turns like this, and it takes it loose without damaging your bolt. It takes it off nice and easy. Because as you hit, it only turns when the impact is going in so that it can't slip out. So you rotate in the direction you want to go, nice and firm, and then tap. And this thing is turning like that internally as I hit it. Until you loosen these up, and we can remove our disc. Don't want it to fall. So just take it off like that. And there we go. We're going to have these turned. Alright, got the discs back. They're turned, they're smooth and clean. You look closely, get you in there so you can see a nice zoom on that. You can see that the surface is much cleaner and smoother than it was before. So now all we have to do is reinstall our discs, put our calipers back on, put our wheels back on, flip the car around, and do the fronts for the next video. So for reassembly, the first thing we do is reinstall the discs and tighten down the 6mm hex. Next we'll install the frame portion of the caliper, and we'll be mounting it with the 16mm Torx bolts. Alright, now that the frame is on and secured in place, I did torque it down to mechanics experienced field torque. I don't have a specific torque for those bolts, so you'll have to investigate that on your own. They don't have a torque spec for it. But now it's time to install the brake pads before we install the second half of the caliper, and then after that the emergency brake. So let's go take a look at these pads, and I'll show you what I got and why I got them. Okay, so here are the brake pads. The brand that I decided to go with is Carbotech. The reason I went with Carbotech is they're supposed to have low dust, low squeal, and last much, much longer than normal pads. So I got it on good authority with a lot of really good tracking Porsche guys that these are excellent pads. So the first thing you want to do anytime you get new pads is check them with the old ones, compare them, and make sure you got the right ones. So I did that. Here are the old, here are the new, here are the old, here are the new. They all match up in terms of geometry, size, and fit. So I know that they will work. So what I'm going to do before I install these pads is I'm going to put some a disc quiet or brake quiet on the backs of these, and I'm going to use a little brush. I was going to use a little rake to put it on, as I discussed with a young man in Walmart that I met yesterday, and I promised him I'd put him in the video. So here he is now. See, this is my boy Elijah right here. I'm telling y'all about. Y'all thought I was playing. All right, let's get back into this brake job. Okay, now that we've had that little eruption out of the way, we are going to put some brake quiet on the back of these disc brake pads and install them. All right, before I install the pads, I'm going to install a new brake wear sensor. The front and the rear are different. Okay, they have different part numbers. So I'm going to post you a card right now with the part number for the rear. Here it goes. Okay, so now I'm going to take out the old sensor, install this new sensor, and then install the brake pads. All right, so the brake wear sensor connection is located in this little box here. So we'll open that, and it's going to be the one on the left here because I can see the blue. Okay, so we're going to go up in there, pull it down, and there's another connector on that. So just push the pin down. See if I can give you a better view of that. I'll get you on the other side. Alright, so here is the electrical connector, and you just push down on this portion right here. Push down on that, get my hand out of the way, and you can pull this electrical connector off, and then put the new one on. So let me just go ahead and squeeze it for you. There you go. And there is the wear sensor. And you just follow the where that one's routed. You just put your new one in and snake this one where that one is, all the way around. Now we can install the brake pads. Notice the one that takes the brake wear sensor goes on the inside, and it's only on the passenger side. There's not one on both sides of the car. Now we can install the second half of the caliper. Mount it with the 13mm bolts. Snap that in. There we go. And Alright, now that we have the second half of the caliper installed, we can reinstall the, ta-da, the brake. Part number A002 A334. I don't know if you can read that, but there's the part number in case you have to ever replace one of these little guys. It's pretty easy. 2 bolts, 16mm hex, and 1 electrical connector. That's all it takes. So we're going to reinstall this now, and we'll be done with this side, and then we'll do the other side. All right, this side is completed. Give you guys a little slow overview so you can see how the sensor and the power wire for the brake are routed. So if you want to look at that. All right side is done and looks great. These brakes will reset as soon as you touch the brake, and the emergency brake will reset as soon as you use it for the first time. Let's go look at the left side. Okay, left side is done too. Looks great. And now all we have to do is clear the code. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and clear it so you can see in the video. Probably shouldn't do it until I do the front, so I'll do those next weekend. So I'll show you how to clear that message. Okay, so number one, you have to make sure that the hood is latched. That is correct, completely closed and latched. Number two, you have to make sure that the driver's side and all the rest of the doors are closed. I found that out the hard way. It gave me a message, close the door. Okay, number three, you have to make sure that the car is in park, not neutral, not drive with your foot in the brake. No, it has to be in park. And finally, the most important one of all, number four, is you want to make sure you're on level ground, completely level ground. Yes, number three is in park, but number four is you want to make sure the car is on level ground. And part of the main reason for that is number five, you must make sure that the parking brake is off. That's correct. The parking brake must be disengaged or it will not work. Okay, so we're going to hit the start button 3 times fast. Okay, and then we're going to disengage the parking brake. That is key. You must disengage the parking brake. Okay, then you can come over and you hold down this button on the right, hold it down. Okay, brake fluid, we don't want that, so we tap and we go to rear brake pad. So we hold that down, reset possible, then we hold it again. Want to reset, it's asking us, and now reset is in progress. All right, so I don't know why it said unsuccessful because it did actually reset. I'll go ahead and scroll through the menus and you can see that the brake sensor option for reset is now gone. And the little wrench for service is now gone. So I'm not sure why it said unsuccessful. I know why I did it before when I tried it because the emergency brake was engaged. But I'll show you now that the menu is clear. And I'll get in the car fresh and show you that it is indeed reset. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get in the car and I can show you that it actually did reset. Get in and start the car. There's no service just for the brake light. It's all good. All right, that's how you do it. Thanks for watching and have a good day.